Ladies, hear me when I say this. What you are going through is not your ending. It's your awakening. You thought the breaking was punishment, but I came to tell you today, it's preparation. You thought the storm was sent to destroy you, but baby, God sent the storm to reveal you. You're not being broken down. You're being broken open, because God doesn't waste pain. He uses it to birth purpose. He's stripping away what was so he can shape what shall be. Don't curse the breaking. Bless it, but don't run from it. Rise in it. Because out of the ashes are tears. Out of the rubble of your heartbreak, God is rebuilding a stronger woman, a wiser woman, a fearless woman, a healed woman. So I need every woman in this room to get ready, because this ain't just a speech. This is a divine interruption. This is a heavenly alert. God is doing construction on your soul. And when he's done, you won't just stand, you'll soar. When life begins to fall apart, when the job is gone, the marriage is shaking, the children are drifting, the mirror reflects more pain than peace. We often assume it's over, that we've failed, that we're finished. But I want you to lean in and hear this: brokenness is not the end. In fact, it's the very place where breakthrough begins to stir, because God doesn't birth greatness in comfort. He births it in crushing. He allows what you leaned on to fall so you can finally learn to stand. He permits the breaking not because he hates you, but because he's building you. You see, the seed must be broken before it can release life. The alabaster box had to break before the fragrance could fill the room. And some of you are in that breaking season, not because God is silent, but because he's speaking through the silence. He's digging deep into the soil of your soul, uprooting what cannot stay so he can plant what will never die. You thought you were being buried, but baby, you're being planted. And when God plants, it's only a matter of time before new life begins to rise. Some will break down, but others, when they feel the crack in their soul, they don't crumble, they awaken. Because when you're broken in God's hands, you're safer than when you're whole in the world's. What felt like betrayal was actually divine redirection. What looked like abandonment was divine protection. He's breaking what was so you can embrace what will be. You can't carry destiny with hands full of yesterday. That breaking wasn't your end. It was your becoming. God often allows us to be shattered in places we tried to hold together by our own strength, because as long as we depend on what we built, we won't trust what he's constructing. Some of you are crying over doors God slammed shut, relationships he dissolved, paths he blocked. But what if the break was your rescue? What if the breakdown was heaven's setup for breakthrough? You may feel like you're walking through the valley of shattered dreams, but don't miss this: God does his best work in the valley. Resurrection doesn't happen on the mountaintop. It happens in the cold, dark tomb. And just like Jesus, your broken place is not your burial site, it's your stage for glory. Let God break what he must, because he never breaks without rebuilding stronger. There are times when God will start removing things from your life that you thought you needed. People you leaned on, relationships you fought to keep, environments you felt safe in. All of a sudden, they begin to shift, crumble, or disappear. And in the moment, it feels like loss. It feels like betrayal, but it's not always the enemy. It might be God doing divine subtraction, because what weakens you can't go with you. God will strip you of dependency so he can teach you authority. He will take away the crutches so you finally learn to walk in strength you never knew had. We often pray for God to elevate us, to use us to enlarge our territory, but we don't always realize that the weight of what we're asking for requires a stronger foundation. And before God can reveal who you truly are, he must remove everything that's been disguising you. That means letting go of relationships that validate your insecurity, habits that numb your calling, and comfort zones that keep you stagnant. He doesn't just want to bless the version of you that's surviving. He wants to raise up the woman in you who is thriving. God will never allow you to be dependent on something that limits your identity. He'll remove the things that sedate your soul just enough to keep you quiet, just enough to keep you shrinking, just enough to keep you small. Because the calling on your life is to be wrapped in weak alliances. Sometimes he removes what you wanted so he can give you what you need. And it hurts, it confuses, it tests your faith. But when the dust settles, you'll see that what left was never meant to last, and what remains is what was meant to grow. You don't always recognize it at first, but the things God removes are often things that were secretly draining you. You thought they were strengthening you because they were familiar. Familiarity isn't always the same as faith. God is not trying to comfort your old self. He's trying to reveal your true self. The woman you are becoming is stronger, wiser, and more grounded than the woman you were, but you can't get there if you keep holding on to what you've outgrown. Sometimes the breakthrough isn't in what God adds to your life. It's in what he subtracts, because what strengthens you doesn't always feel good at first. It feels like rejection. It feels like emptiness. But underneath the AKH is transformation. God is reshaping your soul, firming up your roots, and preparing you to carry more without collapsing. You are not losing strength. You are gaining clarity. You are not being abandoned. You are being realigned. When God removes what weakens you, it's because he knows exactly what it takes to reveal what will strengthen you. Pain has a way of making you question everything: your worth, your strength, your direction, even your faith. It creeps into the cracks of your confidence and whispers that this is where the story ends. But pain in the hands of God is never wasted. It becomes the pressure that pushes purpose to the surface. What feels like suffering is often the sacred space where destiny is formed, because God does not allow pain for pain's sake. He uses it as a tool, a refiner, a holy fire that forges you into who you were always meant to be. Purpose isn't born in easy seasons. It's carved out in midnight hours, in hospital rooms, in silent tears, in broken prayers you can barely form. It's in those moments when everything you depended on falls apart that you finally see what God has placed within you. The pain becomes a portal, a passageway to strength, wisdom, and depth you didn't know you had. What you thought was going to break you is the very thing God will use to build your voice, your ministry, your story. It's not pretty, it's not polished, but it's powerful when you're in the thick of it. You won't always see the purpose. You'll just feel the crushing, the isolation, the silence. But don't mistake silence for absence. God does some of his most powerful work in hidden places. Seeds grow underground before they break through the soil. And just like that, your purpose is being cultivated in private long before it's revealed in public. He's teaching you to endure, to trust, to stand, even when it hurts, because what he's preparing you to carry in the next season requires the kind of faith that can only be birthed in fire. There's something sacred about a woman who's gone through the pain and came out with power. Not because she avoided the struggle, but because she faced it, wrestled with it, and found God in it. That kind of woman is unshakable. She doesn't move when life gets heavy because she's already been through the weight of disappointment, the H of loss, the silence of waiting. She knows what it's like to cry and still lead, to bleed and still believe, to be broken and still bless others. That kind of woman carries a purpose that no pain could steal and no devil can stop. So don't run from the pain. Don't numb it. Don't hide it. Let it shape you. Let it refine you. Let it point to the one who knows how to turn wounds into wisdom and scars into testimonies. Because the very thing you thought would take you out is the thing that's taking you in to purpose, to power, to freedom. Pain is the process, yes, but purpose is always the promise. And God is faithful to complete what he started in you. Even if he begins with broken pieces, sometimes we find ourselves in seasons that feel like loss, but they are actually positioning. We cry over what's ending, realizing that God is clearing space for what's beginning. You may not understand it right now. God's not punishing you. He's preparing you. He's not tearing you down. He's turning you around. Because when your life starts to shift, it's not always the enemy coming against you. Sometimes it's heaven stepping in to reroute your destiny. God will often disturb what's comfortable to launch you into what's necessary. He knows you've settled in a place that no longer serves where you're going. And rather than leave you stuck in safe spaces that keep you small, he shakes the ground beneath your feet so you start moving forward. What feels like a divine disruption is actually divine direction. That delay, that disappointment, that detour, it was never meant to destroy you. It was God redirecting your steps so you wouldn't miss what he already set aside for you. We love the idea of destiny, but we don't always love the process of positioning. It's uncomfortable to be pulled out of what we thought was permanent. It's painful to walk away from what we prayed for, but God sees what we can't. He knows the battles ahead. He knows the strength you'll need. And if he has to close a door to get you to the right one, he will. He loves you too much to let you stay in a place that threatens your purpose. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is God trying to shift in me? When you're being positioned, things won't always make sense. Friends may walk away. Opportunities may dry up. Resources may vanish. Don't panic. Positioning often requires pruning. God removes access to things you thought were essential so you can discover what's eternal. He's not interested in just giving you comfort. He's after your calling, and calling costs. It costs certainty. It costs convenience. But what you gain on the other side is clarity, alignment, and power you didn't know you could carry. Positioning also teaches you how to wait with purpose. Not all movement is progress. Sometimes God sits you down to recalibrate your vision, to heal you, to mature you, to strip away the noise so you can hear his voice again. Because when he says it's time to move, he wants you ready, not just physically, but spiritually and emotionally whole. He's not just trying to get you to a new place. He's transforming you into a new woman, the kind of woman who doesn't chase approval, doesn't beg for crumbs, and doesn't shrink in fear. She knows her steps are ordered, even when the path doesn't look like the plan. Strength is not built in applause. It's forged in adversity. Too often we measure our value by the validation we receive, by how many people cheer for us, notice us, approve of us. But the truth is, the strongest women don't emerge from stages and spotlight moments. They rise from ashes, from the seasons when no one was watching, from the nights filled with tears, silence, and surrender. The kind of strength that lasts doesn't come from public affirmation. It comes from private refinement. It comes when everything else falls away and you learn to stand on nothing but the word of God. There's something unshakable about a woman who has been through fire and didn't burn. She may walk with a limp. She walks in power because she's not defined by applause. She's defined by what she survived. She knows what it's like to be overlooked, to be underestimated, to be left out. And yet she rises, not bitter, but better, not desperate, but determined, because she learned that real strength comes when the clapping stops, when the friends disappear, when the stage goes dark, and God becomes your only audience. Applause is temporary. Seasons change. People change. What they celebrate today, they may criticize tomorrow, but when you're grounded in God, your strength doesn't waver with opinions. You don't need a crowd to be courageous. You don't need followers to be faithful. God builds you in the shadows, so when the light comes, you don't lose yourself in it. You know who you are. You know whose you are. And that kind of woman doesn't crumble under pressure. She carries purpose through it. Some of your greatest growth will come in the seasons you feel most forgotten. But those are the seasons where God is pouring into you, shaping your character, deepening your roots. Because he's not preparing you for popularity. He's preparing you for impact. And impact requires integrity, resilience, and spiritual authority that can't be faked. The world celebrates outcomes, but God values obedience. He will let you walk through seasons of silence so your strength is built in substance, not in sound. So don't chase applause. Don't wait for a stage to validate what God already said about you. He called you strong when you were crying yourself to sleep. He called you powerful when you were standing in pieces. He called you chosen when you were questioning your own worth. That's the strength he's building in you, a strength that's not loud, but lasting. A strength that doesn't seek attention, but carries anointing. a strength that doesn't need to be seen to stand. Because when a woman rises from ashes, she doesn't need applause. She is the evidence.